Hi all, Cal Marks here. I'm going to share with you a methodology that has proven to be very successful in sales and building business. It's one methodology I've used myself and continue to use myself for today, and certainly have done for the last kind of 15 years plus. It's called the 9 touch point methodology. And what is a 9 touch point methodology, and why is it important to adopt it, are the two things we're going to talk about today. Well, the 9 touch point methodology, to put it simple, is a way that you can engage new business very effectively, build the relationships that with your current customers, and elevate that business volume with them. So those are the two areas that it really helps with. It's used by sales professionals, business owners, and also business leaders in different ways. And why it's important to use it is this. I do this bit of exercise when I'm coaching groups. So I ask them, if I asked you to go outside your building right now onto the main street and ask a complete stranger, will you marry me? What do you think the response would be? Now, apart from the salespeople with the high egos who say, well, they definitely accept, most will actually say, we'll probably get a decline. And I go, exactly. You more than likely get a decline on your proposal than an acceptance. So what are the reasons behind that? And the group often shares, well, the person doesn't know me. The individual doesn't know if we've got anything in common. There's probably no attraction there to begin with, and things like that. So I go, okay, well, that's interesting, that feedback. So why in business do we expect with the first engagement with a new customer that we're going to get the business? What's the difference? And then salespeople will often, or business owners will talk about, well, the product that they promote and their service that the promote is very good. There's a marketplace for it. It fits where others won't compete, things like that. And agree with all of those, but it's very difficult to get all that across in your first meeting. So what we know with personal relationships and business relationships, there are things in common. And one of those is building trust and engagement. So how do you build trust and engagement to get those results that you're seeking? The first one is, if you look at the stats on this, particularly in general sales, so over a variety of industries, on average, it takes between 5 to 12 contacts before the client starts to interact with you on a regular basis. Now, that may differ depending on what you're selling or you're promoting. If you've got a direct sales or an online type product that they click and order, that's probably going to be different. But if I talk it in general terms, repeat customers, and as far as building a long-term relationship, engaging relationship with the client, particularly in the markets that I focus on a lot myself, which is in the financial sector, building relationships with finance brokers and things like that, or finance brokers building relationships with their vendor referrals. So how can we do it in an easy and a well-measured way? And that's where the 9 touch point methodology comes in. It's 9 touch points with your prospect or your customer that you'd like to elevate more business from. 9 touch points in 30 days. Now, it sounds a lot, but it's not. And a touch point can be anything from a phone call, SMS, an email, a face-to-face visit, a Zoom call, a video message sent to them, a product guide sent to them, information about what's happening in their industry. Any kind of touch point can be used, and you can choose your own touch points, whatever they may be, to suit your particular industry. So by doing this, what happens by doing it is actually builds the trust and the presence. They become aware of you. So for example, these kind of the most common ones I use myself is either a phone call to a stakeholder, introducing myself, and the objective of that call is not to pitch my product or pitch what I do. It's purely to establish a bit of rapport and to make time for a professional business meeting in the following week. And how it may go is generally a quick call, introducing myself, acknowledge that their time is valuable, and also then state the purpose of my call. And the purpose of my call may be along the lines of, look, I feel like I've got something of value that will help you in your business over the next 6 to 12 month period. Could I take 15 minutes of your time either next Thursday or Friday to lock in a time? And that's pretty simplistic in how it goes. And that's one touch point. The next touch point is I will follow up with an email to confirm, obviously calendar invite. I'll also, if I've got the client's mobile number, I'll probably text them a copy of my digital card, so that's a touch point, things like that. So it starts to add up very quickly. The other way I might do it, particularly in the market that I operate in, there's a lot of my clients or prospects that are on LinkedIn, so I might send them a personal message on LinkedIn asking them to connect. But again, very mindful, it's not to be a sales pitch. It's more of an introduction, just building who I am. So it's an awareness. They're aware that I'm out there and what I'm doing. And then I adapt a 9 touch point methodology over the 30 days. So that's how it works, and it works very well because what it's doing, each time you're interacting with that business, you're becoming front of mind to them. So they go, oh, there's, I spoke to Kelvin before the other day about this, or things like that. Starts to entrench into their subconscious that you're around and you're there to help service them. Works very well in highly competitive markets because you're kind of often fighting for the same, engagement with the customer, so with your competitors. So 9 touch points works. Now, the common pitfalls on it and where it can fall down is if you don't measure it. So how do you measure it? Well, it's pretty simple. Lay out, first of all, what are your touch points in your industry. Establish 9 or as many as you can, what they could be. It could be sharing a recent scenario of a customer you helped. It could be whatever type of, it could be something personal about yourself. Write them down and then basically load them into a file that these are going to be your touch points. Template it. So if you've templated the process, it becomes a lot easier as well because you can reuse it. Then it's like, well, how do I measure it? So then you've got to lay it out in a little plan. So either it can be done a number of ways. I mean, when I first started using 9 touch points, I used to do everything on a spreadsheet. I'd select 10 specific target accounts that I'd like to grow or engage with over the next 90 days. And then what I'd do is I'd list my touch points in there and then I'd load them as far as dates. Now, the beauty of today is we have great CRM systems like Salesforce, HubSpot, and there's a number of others, Zoho, whatever you're using or your internal CRM, normally has a capacity to set tasks. So you can preload your tasks on when to do your next touch point within the 30-day period. And then that's a way to measure it. And also, if you haven't got that, there's certainly Outlook or your calendar you can start storing. The key is not to take on too many because you imagine trying to do it to 20 or 30 at once, it's not going to kind of work, it's going to become too much. Be selective, do your touch points 30 days. If they haven't engaged within 30 days, drop them down to into another file, which could be your monthly updates, things, that type of thing, and then replace it with a new prospect. So you're rotating as you're going through and measuring the success. What you'll do is you'll establish very quickly what touch points are working well for you. Handy tip on your touch points is by asking the customer a certain question that encourages feedback back to you. So it's that kind of, it's going backwards and forwards, the communication. It's not just you reaching out, but it's asking certain questions of your customer. It may be something specific to their business that you've just, out of curiosity, what are you finding here or whatever, and try and encourage that engagement back. So then it becomes a two-way dialogue. I always say using digital tools is a fantastic way to touch point with your client base because you can do it by mass as well. If you do a post out through to your network on a video or something like this, it's kind of another way you can engage through touch points. The most common place I find where it doesn't work is when the individual doesn't have any form of tracking or system in place because the intention's there, but day-to-day distractions take place, and then they get lost, and then it just never happens. So, and then it becomes, oh, I must do this, I forgot to do it, and it goes nowhere. So measure it, become disciplined with it, put yourself into a process that works for yourself at a certain time of the day or certain time of the week when you do these touch points. An example of that is I used to do a lock in a certain time of my LinkedIn activity each week, which would block away in my calendar, and I'd spend my 30 minutes on that, and that was that part of the week. I didn't do it in the rest of the week. It might not be LinkedIn, or it might be my emails out to my customer base or my phone calling. To allocate it into your time of your day, that's going to work for you best and also for your customer. There's no point, as one sales professional said to me once, I work in the evenings more, and I'm like, well, your customers aren't working in the evenings, so you've got to kind of reshuffle your priorities around. So have some fun with it. It's a great tool. It takes the pain away from it as well. It's kind of like, because it's a structure and a process. It's one that you define to your own style, and you'll get success from it, guaranteed. Because again, you're entrenching who you are and what you offer into the subconscious mind of the customer, and then you become more relevant into their place by building trust. If you'd like to learn more about the 9 touchpoint methodology, or elevating your volume of business for your new customers or existing customers, reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a chat and talk about how I can help you individually or within your team. Have a great day.